Welcome back, everybody. This is Ryan's Brain. Thank you to everybody who's liked, shared, commented on, and otherwise interacted with our last week's video, how to ask a celebrity to the prom and get the yes. This week, we have a special guest appearance from my sister, Jessica.
You know, I really don't want to ask a celebrity.
Okay, but that's
Number
not...
one, the economic difference between our lifestyles is something
She's trying to delay the inevitable. This week, we're doing something a little different. We're going to help her prepare for her driving test.
You seriously don't have to do that.
Hey, I've taken the test 5 times. If I don't know what I'm talking about by now, I shouldn't be driving.
Please tell him to stop.
This isn't live.
Oh, Tommy, come out here. This is Tommy, our top-notch tech guy. He usually likes to stay behind the camera, but this week I wanted to give him a special shout out because he's produced some fantastic visual aids for this segment. Give yourself a round of applause, Tommy.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Jessica.
They actually have a thing for each other, they just refuse to acknowledge it.
Brian!
Hey!
What?
I'm gonna make you look so bad in the editing.
Just pick up the light.
Boys.
Let's dive in. This week, we're going to teach Jessica how to drive safely near railroad crossings. Tommy made this out of foam core.
Really?
Each one took an hour and a half.
He made 7 of them. What is this and what does it mean?
That's an advanced warning sign. It warns drivers that the road they're currently driving on crosses a railroad track ahead. So if you see the sign, you should slow down, look, and listen for an oncoming train.
Good. An hour and a half, man, and it's on screen for 5 seconds.
That's show business. What's this top one mean?
That's a crossbuck. It tells a driver that they have arrived at a railroad crossing and that they must yield to trains.
And the one below it?
That's a yield sign. You treat it just like any other yield sign you'd see elsewhere on the road. It's a reminder that you must yield to an approaching train.
What about now?
A crossbuck with a stop sign. It tells a driver that they must always stop at a stop sign in advance to the railroad tracks. Even if they do not see or hear the train, they must stop.
Yes!
And some crossings have a red and white gate that drops down.
They do. In fact, Tommy's made a virtual reality.
Augmented reality.
Augmented reality thing. As soon as you put those on, you should be able to see.
Whoa.
You should see an X with 2 R's on either side painted on the pavement, followed by a painted stop line. If it's a gravel road, you should stop at least 15 feet from the tracks. You'll also see some lights under the crossbuck. Those flashing red lights warn drivers of an approaching train. Even if you can't see a train, if the lights are flashing and the bells are ringing, that means one is on its way. If there's gates at the crossing, then those will also lower at that time. Only cross the tracks once the lights stop flashing and the bells stop ringing, and the gates go all the way up. Never drive around a lowered gate or across the track while the lights are flashing and the bells are ringing.
Why is there a dragon?
Why is there a dragon, Tommy?
The dragon's there to remind you that there might be another train coming from a different direction.
Huh?
It's true. He's holding a sign that says, "Beware."
This is ridiculous.
I've made 7 foam core signs and worked till 3 in the morning. Let me have my dragon. Even if you see a train pass and you think it's safe to cross, you have to be careful so you don't get hit by a second train, which could be coming from either direction. Always assume that there are multiple tracks and check to make sure that there are no additional trains before crossing the tracks. Not all crossings have bells, lights, or gates to warn you of an approaching train.
To be safe, always expect a train.
Look for a train, listen for a train horn. If it's clear, proceed. If you see or hear any signs of a train, wait. Once a train is passed, look in both directions again and listen for a horn from another train. If all is clear, proceed across the tracks.
So, sometimes there are other cars crossing the tracks when we are in Mom's car. What happens if they stop and don't leave enough room for our car to completely clear the tracks?
Hang on. I wrote a program for everything we're talking about today, just in case.
That is so cool.
You should only go across the tracks if you can completely clear the crossing. Just remember this saying, if you don't fit, don't commit. And for the next few signs, we're gonna take a field trip. This is Jessica's room.
No, that's an emergency notification system sign.
And what does that tell you?
It tells me the number to call if there's an emergency at the railroad crossing. So if a car were to get stuck on the tracks.
If there's an emergency, call the phone number to alert the railroad of your issue. Then tell them the crossing number on the sign so they can identify your location.
Obviously, this sign has something to do with the train horn. Does it mean the trains don't use their horns at this crossing?
Weren't you supposed to have this picked up by the time I got home?
I was helping Ryan with his video.
Oh, I love it when he volunteers to do everyone's laundry for a week.
Come on, I was helping her study for her driver's test.
Is that why there's this no train horn sign on the wall?
I was quizzing her.
Oh, okay, well, that's nice. I guess you don't have to do everyone's laundry. So, Jessica, what does this sign mean?
It means that the crossing is a quiet zone and that trains won't normally use the horn. An engineer can sound the horn in an emergency, but it's usually quiet.
Excellent. When the pizza's getting cold.
There's pizza?
But we have 2 more signs left.
The 3 tracks part of the sign means that the driver will be going over 3 sets of tracks at the railroad crossing.
You got it. Last one.
I would have said we should have gotten augmented reality, but it's in the other room, and there's pizza, so...
I have no idea.
The parallel track sign identifies highway rail intersections that appear immediately after you take a right or left turn.
Got it. That makes sense. I think I have them all memorized now.
You know what that means?
No, what? Why are we in the car?
To illustrate that distractions on the road can make you 4 times more likely to get in a collision which involves an injury. Tommy's already recording this part on his cell phone, which he shouldn't be if we're in the car.
Phones lead to texting. Texting leads to surfing the web. Surfing the web leads to...
Looking for music, talking to people on the phone, and talking to your passengers. Yeah. Mom talks about this all the time.
And she's right. You need to avoid driving while tired or on medication. Never eat or put on makeup or zone out while driving. Trust me, I didn't realize until I started driving myself how distracting those things can be.
I'm leaving.
Which is exactly what you should do if your friends are practicing on safe driving habits.
We haven't talked about light rail yet.
I have an animation for that.
Well, hang on. We gotta do the soda can thing first. Trains are much larger and heavier than cars. They can do some serious damage to a car in a collision. A train hitting a car is just like a car running over a soda can with you inside it. Never try to beat a train or drive around lowered gates. The results will not be pretty. The only thing an engineer can do if they see a vehicle or person on the track is sound the horn and pull the emergency brake.
But that's a good thing.
It's good, but do you know the average stopping distance of a freight train traveling at 55 miles an hour?
The average stopping distance of a train traveling 55 miles per hour would take more than 5,000 feet to stop. A passenger car will need about 200 feet to stop. Freight trains weigh over 6,000 tons, and traveling at 55 miles per hour can take a mile or more. That's 18 football fields. Trains can stop, but they can't stop quickly.
That was word for word what's in the book.
Thank you.
Because trains can be so big and fast, it's important to know never to go on or near the tracks at any time. Do you know how far away you should stay from the railroad tracks?
You should be at least 15 feet away from the train tracks so you don't get injured when a train passes by.
And walking on the tracks or the area surrounding them is illegal. It's trespassing.
Can we do the light rail now?
Do it.
In some places, there may also be light rail trains all over. Drivers have to share the road with light rail trains. Their tracks can be embedded directly in the streets. You should always obey traffic signals when you're driving. This is never more true than when you drive around light rail. Jessica, do you know the rule when turning left over light rail tracks?
You can only turn left on a green light in normal traffic, so I would assume it's the same when driving over light rail tracks.
Correct. Making a last-second turn as a light is turning red or once the light has changed to red can lead to a collision with an oncoming train that could be coming from behind you.
And as a final point, when you're driving near the light rail train and it stops, people will pour out across the street, often running to catch other trains.
People are often distracted, not paying attention to the cars around them.
As a driver near light rail stops and stations, you must pay extra special attention to the pedestrian to avoid hitting someone who is not paying attention. As a pedestrian, it's important to only cross tracks at a designated crossing. This was actually kind of fun.
I'm your brother, Jess. You shouldn't ever feel like you can't ask for help.
I didn't really ask for your help.
Well, family doesn't need to be asked. Family knows. I noticed you stopped using the fake audience during the show, Tommy.
I found it distracting.
Well, you've picked Ryan's brain. Like, share, subscribe below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.